Water inspires truly amazing communities. A longing to join in on the fun helped draw Vince, a reformed urbanite, out of the city and onto the seashore. Set to the songs of his avian neighbours, Vince finds comfort and metaphors in the charm, history, and sunsets that surround him at the oceanfront nook he now calls home. But first, we'll visit Scott and Nettie. Window shopping for houses can be a slippery slope, especially when you stumble across the home of your dreams. Such was the serendipitous experience of Scott and Nettie, who fell for their seaside property during their initial descent down its driveway. As the water unfolded, they knew the house with the gazebo would be their future home. The only remaining question, how?
Yeah, maybe you should come home. You've been saying it for so long. Let the water lift you from the city's undertow. Yeah, maybe you should come home.
Water stirs the senses. The sight of a tranquil lake, the sound of an enlivened river, the smell and taste of a salty ocean breeze. Water is Mother Nature's most engaging opus. Where better to enjoy it than from a home on its edge?
Maybe you should come home.
You know, you drive down the driveway and you see the water and the house is just spectacular. So it was just one of those feelings that you get when you know this is it, I would say.
You're just kind of surrounded behind you because the way the property is sloped. So you just get the panoramic view of the harbor and the house and how it all ties together. It was pretty neat.
Every time we had company arrive, they had the same reaction we did. The first time we drove down the driveway, just in awe of the spot. I think that was the most famous line that we've heard is, "Wow, what a spot."
We were just home on a Saturday. We were online just kind of browsing at houses. We were tossing the idea around. So we decided to book a showing here just for something to do. And when we came here, as soon as we pulled in the driveway, we didn't even say anything. We just both kind of knew, like, we need to figure out how to buy this place.
Water's always been a big part of my life. I grew up in Halifax, very close to the water. I have family in Sambro, so being close to the fishing villages has always been, I guess, just ingrained, especially as a maritimer. I spent 2 months in Toronto for training back early in my career, and coming home, I remember the smell of the salt water. It just feels like home.
When we originally moved here, it was a 2-bedroom plus den. Because there were 4 of us living here, we needed a 3-bedroom. So we essentially converted the existing den into a living room, and then the living room into the 3rd bedroom, which made it work for us.
It just seemed like a really great place to raise a family. It absolutely was worth it.
My favorite part of the interior would have to be the kitchen and dining room area, just because you get the best views of the water from that area. You also have access to the deck, which is probably one of my favorite features.
For me, it has to be the kitchen. I love cooking. I raised my daughter in the kitchen baking with me, so we spent a lot of time in the kitchen making cookies and muffins. When the sun's reflecting on the water in the evenings, you can see the reflection of the water on the cathedral ceiling, so it's actually quite beautiful. I'd say that the heart of the home is the kitchen dining room. When we have company over, this is where we host, and between here and the wraparound deck, it's a great spot to have company. I would say that the theme that we went for on the interior has been a modern meets antique. When we were originally designing, we were looking for antique nautical themed things. So we have, driftwood throughout the home. We've had In our spare time, we've gone antique shopping for odds and ends to keep on our bookshelves and in our stairs. The home is new and it's modern, so it was a nice take on old meets new and to bring in that nautical theme.
The house is south facing. During the day, the sun comes in the house, which is great in the wintertime for heating. Since we've purchased the home, we added heat pumps on the top and lower level, which are great as far as efficiency goes. And about 4 years ago, we added solar panels. So the house is actually very close to net zero as it sits right now. We don't really have any utility cost. The gazebo, I think, is actually kind of the highlight of the exterior of the house. When you look at the house from the main road, that's what stands out the most. And anytime we describe the property to people that might be familiar with the area, that's the recognizing feature of the property for sure. We're definitely known as the house with the gazebo.
I love sitting out on the deck, especially working from home. It gets me outdoors and into the sun. The gazebo is a great place to sit down and work. And when I'm looking to get some rays, I'll sit on the side deck. The door from the master bedroom is a great feature. In the evenings, the sun sets on this side of the house, so we can easily go from our room to outside and watch the sunset over the gazebo. It's beautiful.
So one of the big selling features for me, because I do enjoy boating, was the dock when we first came to see the property. To be able to walk out your basement door in your bare feet and get right to the dock is pretty amazing to me. We designed it so that it's not actually anchored. It's kind of a cantilever, like a counterweight system, which is kind of neat. It makes it a lot easier to put in and out when we need to. So it's one of my favorite features of the house.
In the surrounding area, I was quite surprised. Coming from the city, I have been working in the kitchen and I've seen deer swim across the ocean. I've been doing yoga and there are 2 seals swimming right outside of our dock. So it's been very interesting to see the wildlife up close and personal.
You never really know what you're going to see, from eagles to otters or minks or seals. We had a sturgeon come up on shore like a month ago, which I've never seen before in my life, so you never really know what to expect.
Or the kind of fish that you're going to catch. I've caught, is it a pipefish?
Pinfish, I think.
Pinfish. It's a tropical fish anyways, tied around my line. I was quite surprised. I thought it was seaweed. Yeah, we spend a lot of time around the campfire, especially with the kids making s'mores, and when we have company, that's where we hang out in the evenings and watching the sunset and roasting hot dogs and making s'mores with the kids.
The big yard is kind of a bonus too. There's lots of area for the kids to play. We actually held our outdoor wedding there last year with lots of room, which was really cool.
Raising a family by the water has allowed us to create more activities at home for the kids. So we have the opportunities to take them kayaking, to take them out on the boat, to go fishing. We've taken the boat to beaches and to neighbors' homes.
Probably one of my favorite things in the summertime on the weekends is to just visit neighbors. Instead of walking or driving to their houses, we can hop in the Zodiac or the kayaks and go to their wharf. There's usually a campfire or something going on any given weekend night.
We've run into our neighbors on the water as well, who have just caught fresh scallops, and we ended up breaking out a frying pan and cooking scallops on the boat.
We both really enjoy wharf hopping.
For me, I love kayaking. I like taking the kayak out, especially first thing in the morning when the water is like glass. It's so peaceful. I think one of the best things for me working from home and being in a location like this is that it makes working from home easier. I'm not siloed to a room all day. I can go for a walk or take the kayak out on my lunch break. So it just helps to break up the day and not feel as isolated, which can happen when you're working from home. I'll usually do a loop around the cove and take it all in.
Probably my favorite thing to do is to fish off the dock in the evenings. You can get as many mackerel as you want any given night, so that's a great feature for me. I also love boating as well, so having access to the water with the boat ramp is pretty neat.
Once the kids are grown up and moved out, we've talked about creating a bit more functional space for us to retire in. So turning the bedrooms downstairs into our master bedroom and knocking down the walls to open the upstairs up to create a living room.
A bonus for me would be the addition of a garage with a loft on top to store potential toys in the future.
Home for me has been ever-changing. So for us, our family has changed a lot over the last few years. And so having a safe place, a comfortable place, a place that the kids want to come back to when they move on with their lives, I think just creating a safe space for the kids is my idea of home.
This place has been kind of our start, and we plan for it to be I don't want to say the end. We plan for it to be where we come to retire and kick back and really enjoy the property.
I think people are attracted to living by the water because it is the essence of being a maritimer.
I think it gives you a sense of freedom, especially being on the salt water. You can potentially leave your dock and go anywhere you want. Our neighbor routinely sails his boat from here to Bermuda, Bahamas, which I think is pretty extraordinary.
The smell, just dipping your toes in the water, it just feels like home.
I'm not even a big water person. I've never swam in the ocean. I don't even kayak anymore because it's hard to get in and out. I think living by water is a reminder of the movement of life and the movement of your own life. And especially here, the tide going in and out and just the peacefulness and sometimes the disturbance it provides is a reflection of your own life. I was laying in bed and I could feel the house shifting from one end to the other. But I felt secure, and I felt secure because I knew the house was well built. So I think it's a sense of security is what I get when I'm sitting or laying or sleeping in this house. Once I had a taste of the East Coast mentality and knowing my friends that have come from Cape Breton over the years, I knew I was going to come to a place where there was lovely people, great scenery, and I had to get out of the city completely and away from Ontario. Most of the history I've found, I've discovered, or people driving by will tell me, or the neighbors walking by will come in and explain that they were here as a kid. So what I could figure out so far is this house was built around 1898, built by probably shipbuilders. It's had several families for the last 120 years. I know that because up in the attic, you'll find newspapers glued to the walls from the Boston Globe. And the Boston Globe being it shows the relationship between here, Ile Madame, and the whole East Coast down to Boston and Philadelphia and so forth. When I arrived at this house, I really didn't know what I was getting into. It was a lot smaller than I anticipated. The pictures lied. Counters were up to my knees, and it was all little rooms. The house was really small. Okay, the rooms were small, even going up the stairs I kept hitting my head. And the first thing I did was cut a hole in the stairwell. I had no idea if the whole thing was going to come flying down. But doing that, it exposed me to how this house was made. It still had its charm. The bathroom upstairs I haven't done much to, except I changed the faucet into a telephone faucet. So you could literally sit there on the nice little bamboo seat that I bought and shower yourself and look out at the view. And when I finally get around to redoing the bathroom, I'll just put in a new I'll keep that feature and put in a new tub and a new window. My favorite view of the house varies. It depends on the time of the day. If I'm watching the tide go in and out, it's obviously the kitchen. However, the sunsets in the summertime are incredible. Unfortunately, my garage blocks it in the kitchen, but out of the dining area, the windows on the side here, it's amazing. The wind that came in here in the winter. So I dealt with that, was opening up and letting the ocean in. If I was going to be in here, I wanted to see the ocean. My favorite room here is probably what I call the ego room. When I moved here, it was a bedroom, a main floor bedroom. And I thought I've been collecting all this stuff from posters in my past life. And if you go in there, you can read what I'm all about off the walls. And it's also the television room. And it's the room where I write and create music and so forth. I also have to say that the kitchen is probably my all-time favorite room. It's where I spend the most time because you can sit there and no matter what the weather is like, you can always see the ocean, the tide coming in and out. When I first saw this house, the thing that attracted me to it were the original spruce shingles that are on the side, and that they were natural, not painted and not covered. Sea air is the most destructive thing around here. It will literally, if you have anything chrome, it will, even in the house, it will rust it. So you got to watch your faucets and everything else. Outside, it will destroy paint. You do not paint anything because sea air will make it buckle. It'll be off and start peeling in a year or two. You can stain, it's a little bit better, but paint, don't. I handmade these pickets out of cheap wood because I wanted to make it look like it had been up for a while. And nothing, it's a little crookedy at certain points, but that's the look I wanted. And it brought the charm, and it's the thing that you draw to when you look at it first is the picket fence around the house. On a nice day, there's nothing like looking down towards the west to the sunset. That's probably my favorite view when I'm outside. One thing about Ile Badan is, first of all, there are no skunks, there are no porcupines, so the dogs are safe. What there is here it's incredible bird sanctuary, it seems like. There's so many birds, and they're singing birds that have tunes that I've recognized, like the Beatles' Blackbird song. You hear it out there. Or you hear the Mozart bird song, you know, the puck, 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 puck. That song, you hear it out in nature. So it's mostly birds. I see herons. They come to, when the tide goes out, you'll see them come in and to feed themselves. There's tons of loons. There's ducks of all sorts. There's everything here, it seems. When I arrived here in Nova Scotia, my broker said, "What are you going to do with your real estate license?" I've always done it as a side gig. She said, "Transfer it to here and I'll give you a couple of deals." Well, since I've arrived here, I have sold real estate all over the province. And I'm telling you this not as a pitch, but as I get to travel all over this wonderful province that has so much variety in its terrain, from the Cabot Trail down through the Annapolis Valley, right to the South Shore, and of course here in Neilma Dam. And that's the one thing about Nova Scotia. You can drive to these places, and within an hour, a completely different look. If anybody knows me, they know me with a dog. I arrived here with my 13-year-old bearded collie, Yago. It always traveled with me. So he came here. Unfortunately, he lasted a year and a half and passed away. And he always lived in a doghouse that I built for him outside. Well, I got a new dog, a Portuguese water terrier named Gordy. He needed to be adopted at the age of 8. I brought him back from Ontario at Christmas time. And I thought, well, he'll just take over the doghouse. Well, Gordy does not like the doghouse. He doesn't even like being outside. So I thought, well, what am I going to do with this doghouse? Give it away? No, I turned it into what was needed very much around here, a garbage bin. Because previous to that, I used to have to run out at 7 o'clock in the morning, put the garbage out there, and hope the crows didn't get it before the garbage bin got here. What I really loved about this house when I first arrived, it was raw material, and I saw the possibilities in it. I'm going to put on a new roof eventually. Probably I see a red tin roof of some sort, because every time there's a storm, shingles come flying off of it. And I think I will debate about what I'm going to do with the garage, whether it stays or goes. But I don't want to overdo this house. I don't even know what this house is to be yet. Is this my home for life? I thought it might be a cottage when I first arrived here, but I think I'll want to do some more traveling in the future, so perhaps it'll be a home base. Who knows? I think people are attracted to living by the water. People who come from Ontario because you can't afford to be on the water anywhere else. But that's changing here too. There's not a lot, God only made so much shoreline, and it's getting, bought up quickly, but it's still affordable here. Water has a calming effect over people, and I think today, when the rest of the world is falling apart, it brings a peace of mind. And I think that is why everyone should live on the shore, somewhere in the world. If I am out and about, and it's been a hectic day, whether I was out trying to shop or deal with clients or whatever, and it's a hectic day, usually what happens is my shoulders are up here. But once I come to my driveway, my shoulders go down, I look out at the sea, and I am greeted either by a barking dog or an excited dog that's in the car, and that makes me happy, and that makes me peaceful. This house has a spirit, some sort of soul. It's sat here for 120 years. It ain't going nowhere.
Whether nestled alongside a riverbank or perched high above a distressed ocean, living on the shore has its perks. But beautiful views are only the beginning. The sights, sounds, and sensations of the water are constant in their impact, improving moods, perspectives, and lives. To exist and grow on its edge is extraordinary, an experience made even sweeter when shared with the people we love.
Yeah, maybe you should come home. You've been saying it for so long. Let the water